Hello, my name is Tanya, and welcome to my channel where I do art creations, mostly watercolor, and that's what today's painting is right there. It's a watercolor, whimsical, a little bit spooky haunted house, easy to do. I'm using different watercolor techniques for this. I use a straw, as you can see, to blow the paint around. I'm also using some colored pencils. So here's the paper that I used, Meeden watercolor, 100% cotton cold press paper. The two watercolors that I used were Van Gogh, Dusk Yellow, and Lamp Black. Dusk Yellow is a granulating color, by the way. Those are the two color pencils. I used yellow and a white pencil, and there's the straw that I use. And I do use different sized brushes. So I started off with taping my paper. I wanted it to be a square. I kind of like the square look for certain types of paintings. So I taped it off to be a 7 by 7 inch square, and I used my roll of tape to draw the moon in the background. You can see the circle there. And then I also penciled in the hill that the haunted house is sitting on. And I started with the background wet on wet, so I wet the background pretty good with my 3/4 inch brush, and then I start adding the background paint. I will have the paints, the colors, and everything in the description. So I put a good layer of paint on the background there, wet on wet. Just go around the moon. Then I take my Dagger Brush. Now, this is the key, I think, to painting this haunted house is a Dagger Brush. Because it's really dagger brushes. I really like using a dagger brush for certain things, especially for a painting like this. It creates cool little points, and that's what kind of makes this haunted house look whimsical. So I started with my dagger brush for the hill, but then I changed to my regular round brush to wet the moon and add some color to the moon. And the moon, I'm just adding a little bit of the dusk yellow, just a tiny bit, because I don't want the moon to blend in too much with the background. So I'm just barely adding some of that dusk yellow to the moon. And I did wet the moon first. But as I was saying about the dagger brush, if you have a dagger brush, this is what you'd want to use for this video. Now, if you don't have a dagger brush, you can use a rigger brush, would work well too. Something that kind of can make squiggly marks, and that's bendable, that moves nicely. The tip's thin, the rigger would work well too, because I do use my rigger also, you'll see. But right here, it's just my round brush. And I will put the brushes that I use in the description also. So after doing the moon, and the background was pretty dry, I just took a more darker value of the dusk yellow and just added a darker color around the moon there, but leaving a space, because that's where I'm going to be coming in with more paint and using the straw technique to blow branches towards the moon. And I don't want to cover up the moon too much, so that's why that's kind of supposed to be like, trees. So, or to me, it looks like trees in my mind. So you want to leave enough space there for your branches when you do use the straw technique. So I'm just adding more color, more layers. So as I said, there's a couple cool techniques that we use with this painting. You want to get something that you can scratch into the surface of your paper. As you can see, I'm using the tip of one of my brushes because it's pointy. You can use a toothpick, you can use a card, something that you have that's pointy, and you can scratch into the surface. So that's what I'm doing here. That surface is wet. It's still wet from the paint, and I'm just scratching some squiggly lines, trying to make it kind of look like bark. Just scratching squiggly lines into the surface there. So that's done, see there, and it is dry. So this is the trick to making this haunted house look whimsical, in my opinion. I have my Dagger brush, and I loaded it pretty good with the paint, a good mixture, a thick mixture, I should say, of the Dusk yellow. And basically all I'm doing is taking my Dagger brush with the pointy tip up and just kind of dabbing it to the paper there, and just kind of moving it around, and I'm creating spiky spirals for the roof, and then just kind of moving my brush around to create windows. As you can see, they are not perfect looking at all. I didn't pre-draw this in. You don't have to. To me, it's just, kind of just paint it as you go, because you want it to be whimsical and it doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm just using my brush back and forth to fill in the house, and just leaving white spaces for the windows. Just trying to, and it's, it does look wonky, it's crooked, but that's the charm of it. Like I said, if you don't have a Dagger brush, you could use a rigger brush to do this too, as long as you get some nice, or maybe you might have another brush too, like a calligraphy brush, I think would work. Something that moves, that's soft, and you're able to kind of get some whimsical squiggly marks from it. And then I'm just working my way down, just kind of moving my brush around, just different directions, adding more paint, and working my way down to the bottom there. The rigger brush is, rigger too, but actually the Dagger brush, probably my favorite brush to use out of all my brushes. And now, after that, I just dropped in some water. And then also adding a little bit more paint. And I'm going back and darkening up the haunted house. Now I'm still using Dusk yellow for all this. And still using my Dagger brush and a darker mixture of the Dusk yellow, and quite a bit of it, so it's a good puddle of it, because this is where I'm going to use the straw to blow. So you want to make sure that you have a good puddle of your paint when you do this, or else that's not going to move. You're not going to be able to blow anything with your straw. And if you have not done this technique before, I suggest you try it first on a scrap piece of paper, because it's kind of unpredictable sometimes. And sometimes what the kinds of effects you get depends on the length of your straw. As you can see, my straw there that I have it has an angled cut to it. And I've noticed that for me, if the bottom of the straw there, see how it's angled, how I cut it angled like that, it helps me blow the paint. Yeah, so you just kind of have to practice with that. So I just did that. As you can see, I tried not to blow too much over the house or over the moon. I don't want to cover the moon too much. So then I just did the same thing to the other side there. And this is all still using Dusk Yellow. So while that was drying, I just added some more paint. Okay, so it is all dry. Now I'm changing my colors. So now I will be using Lamp Black. And I'm doing the same thing basically. I'm just doing it with Lamp Black, and I decided I didn't really need to use my Dagger Brush for this, but so I'm using a bigger brush. That's my round, I believe, number 12. So I've just got a good old puddle of the Lamp Black, and I am adding it to the edge there, as you can see. Just kind of to darken up the edge there, and then I added some more to the bottom too, and I'm a good mixture of it, and I'm blowing upwards with my straw just to create some effects there on the bottom a little bit. And I'm blowing upwards into the other area there. I'm trying to be careful not to cover the house. If a little bit gets on the house, that's okay. I just didn't want to totally cover the whole thing accidentally, because it's easy to do when you're using this technique. It's, you know, before you know it, either you blow too much and it just, you know, goes crazy, because you can't really, you can kind of control it a little bit, how it you know, where it blows or how much, but still sometimes you can't. So that's what makes it fun. Every time if you're doing another painting like this, it probably wouldn't turn out the same. Okay, so now I got my rigger, and this is where I'm just adding the little whimsical swirls to the top of the house there. Here I'm just taking my rigger and adding some more little details to the hill, adding a couple trees. And I'm kind of wiggling my brush around, as you can see, kind of to keep that whimsical effect going. Then I decided to outline the moon, and I'm using my rigger, and it's not perfect. The line isn't perfect, and I think that's what kind of makes this keep that whimsical look to it. And I wanted to add a little bit more darkness to the moon, so I took my round brush there and just added a tiny bit of, just a small smidgen of the Dusk Yellow to my brush, and added a little bit of marks to the moon. Now I'm using my rigger to outline the moon. So decided to add some bats or ravens. I was thinking bats, so just added some of those with my rigger. So here's where I start using the yellow colored pencil to create a glowing effect. I thought it'd be fun to use a colored pencil. I haven't used my colored pencils in a while. So here's just a yellow, and make sure everything's dry when you do this. Now I'm just using my rigger with some of the lamp black and just making small little marks over the windows. So I was having so much fun using my color pencil. I wanted to add some more yellow, just a little bit of a yellow glow to this painting. So I just did a little bit of coloring, light coloring with the yellow pencil around the moon area there. And I was looking at the drawing and thinking it needed something else, especially on the bottom there. So I decided to take my white color pencil and just made some squiggly marks around that area there on the trees, kind of to give the illusion of maybe that could be the bark from the trees, and just to make it look a little bit more interesting. I also added a little bit of dots too. That's it. I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial and give it a try. I think it's good for all skill levels. Thanks so much for watching, and please like and subscribe if you haven't. It really helps my channel out a lot. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.